So for me, the whole structure of what is around Ten Hag, i.e. Ralph Rangnick, i.e. Paul Mitchell, maybe even John Murtough, and all of the people that are involved behind the scenes in that sense, and the data and recruitment analysis. Look at United's recruitment last summer. Who do we sign? Jadon Sancho.
Yeah.
Anyone who plays FIFA could have told you he was good.
Yeah, even
Who else did we sign? Cristiano Ronaldo?
Never heard of him.
Who come up with that? A fucking 12-year-old. And Rafael Varane, one of the most winningest centre-halves in the world, that plays for Real Madrid.
That's not scouting, is it?
Is it fuck?
There's nothing wrong with signing players like that, but it's not like you've done any homework and gone, I'll tell you what, I've got a player for you here. You might have not have heard of him, but he's pretty good. He's won 5 Ballon d'Ors, and he used to play here. His name's Cristiano Ronaldo.
There's a photo of him outside, actually.
You're going to go, oh, what? Right,
it's the same with Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, though. Because like you thought, oh, maybe, like especially with Wan-Bissaka, you thought, oh, have they been keeping an eye on this guy? But it was just obvious that he was good. And then Dan James was the one where you thought, oh, have we scouted this guy? It just turns out Giggs was like, yeah, he's all right.
I watched him for 30 minutes and told you he was shit.
Yeah, well, there you go. Do you know what I mean? It just proves that there was no sensible scouting there.
No, and when you look at, I mean, we're literally doing something on Dortmund at the moment and Dortmund's recruitment. Dortmund are signing all the players I want.
Right.
Bellingham's the only one that I didn't want.
Why?
When he went to Dortmund?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not paying 40 million for a 16-year-old who's done okay in the Championship.
Is that how much they paid for it?
No, that's how much United would have had to pay for him. I don't know why it was a different price for us, because United tax in it. But here was the thing. What Bellingham was doing in the Championship was impressive because he was 16. It wasn't impressive because it was impressive. If a 24-year-old was putting the performances of Bellingham, you wouldn't have cared. It was impressive because he was 16. Now, what he's doing at Dortmund is just impressive. It doesn't matter how old he is. He could be 30. It's fucking mint. He's playing really, 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 really well. So he's one that I would have got it wrong on. But when you look at, they signed Jadon Sancho, I was telling people to fuck it. I said, you're never going to sell him to you. But, like, how are we letting him go there? And, you know, we paid 10 times what they paid for him to get him back here. Nico Schlotterbeck's about to go there.
Yeah, I keep seeing you tweet about this kid.
Yeah, because I'm annoyed, Jay.
Right, okay.
I brought it up to somebody at United.
Okay.
And they said we didn't like his scout reports. And I went, my exact words was, do you watch us?
Right.
They weren't happy with his reports, apparently. Just signed for Dortmund. Guarantees fucking class.
Right.
Adeyemi, they've just got in, or they're rumoured to be just getting in. Fucking unreal up front. And they get them at really good value prices. I don't know why United need players to take the next step and be worth 100 million before we make that plunge.
Do you think that's what we need to do now then? Because we look at it with this massive overhaul, with this... I know it might sound crazy to call a £150 million budget or whatever it is limited, but the amount of players we need, it is limited. You can't go out and
three
get...
first-choice players the way we sign.
Exactly.
At most.
That's my point is, do you feel like we need to stop waiting until Harry Maguire goes from Hull to Leicester and then we buy him, or Jadon Sancho goes to Dortmund and then we buy him? Do you think we need to be going... He's 21 or whatever. Go for him now. I know Jadon Sancho is 21, but you know what I mean.
I mean, this is the other thing, was like Paul Mitchell. You can't pull the wool over Paul Mitchell's eyes. He's worked at every level of football. He's worked in a global environment. He's worked in European environment. He's worked in fucking League One.
Just for anyone who doesn't know, Steve, Paul Mitchell, because there'll be people going, and I'm one of them until a few weeks ago when you started telling me, like, Paul Mitchell, I know that name, who is he?
Sporting director at Monaco currently.
Right.
Previously head of recruitment for the Red Bull Group, and I don't know what you know about those, but you know, Salzburg, fucking smash it, unbelievable recruitment. RB Leipzig, unbelievable recruitment. Prior to that, it was at Tottenham, large influence in some of the signings that they'd made. Prior to that, when you look at what he did at Southampton and some of the players that they'd identified and brought in.
Steve, if you don't know who he is, just say.
And prior to that, it was at MK Dons. Bringing in the likes of fucking Dele Alli and things like that. And
so he's done all right then, hasn't he? In really,
unbelievable.
Spotting players
unbelievable,
and doing things in football.
It's not just about the spotting of the players.
Okay, go on.
When have you seen any of them clubs overpay?
No, the business model works, doesn't it? Buying him,
like I just said to you upstairs, Harry Maguire was probably a £45 million signing, and I don't think people would have seen their ass too much.
Don't have them issues.
It's literally a fucking world record centre half signing,
and he's got that guy down the M62 who was £5
Cheaper.
million quid less than him, and everyone points at him and goes, "We paid more for our guy than they paid for him, who's arguably the best centre back in the world." I mean, Dre, where do you stand on it all? Do you think that is the way forward for Manchester United? Is it, like Steve's mentioning there, getting in there a bit earlier with some of these players?
Yeah, I think the setup that's happening now, this is the first time the Glazers have arguably made some sensible appointments.
So it took them 17 years,
well, that's the thing.
Have they or of the CEO?
Well, I don't know, but I think this is the last. This is basically like their last chance of getting it right, because Liverpool have proven that you can get to the top on the cheap.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do
Not the
now.
cheap,
Well, when I say
sensible.
the cheap, cleverly, yeah, not Tom Cleverly, but making clever signings. But if this fails now, they've got no other options. They've proven that they're not just going to spend money like Chelsea and City. This is their last chance, and they have to get it right. And that's the only thing that gives me hope now, because it makes me think the Glazers will know that if they get this wrong, people are just going to be absolutely...
I'm not even sure they know anything about anything when it comes to United.
I think you're right, and I think there's this bubble they're in where they'll have someone like Ed Woodward saying, "Listen, I know we're at 8th, but that's a good thing."
Yeah, I want to put.
Like, don't worry.
I want to put more of the blame on the doorstep of fucking Woo-Wah.
Yeah, because
And I'm fully prepared. Richard Arnold at the moment, for me, has got a clean slate. He isn't Woodward, and he might work for the fucking Glazers, but they all do, ultimately. He's got a clean slate for me as far as I'm concerned. What I've seen from him so far is 2 decisions that he's had to make, 2 football decisions that he's had to make, and he's seemingly made the right choice. Bringing in Ralph Rangnick, I think you'll see the benefit of that in 2.5 years or so. It's, like I said, underwhelming as a coach. I think his honesty and his analysis and what he's going to do. If Ralph Rangnick doesn't come and they appointed, I don't know, pick a fucking random coach as an interim for 6 months. I can't even think of anyone.
Darren Fletcher, I don't know.
David O'Leary, fuck it, right?
okay.
They're bringing
That is
David
random. I
O'Leary
didn't see that one
for,
coming.
for 6 months, right? Or a bit of Steve Bruce, right?
Yeah.
He'd have got us top.
AD Buffoy.
Frank Lampard.
Don't be stupid, Jay.
Sorry.
Paul Ince. He's a manager that just needs a chance, isn't he? Anyway, so they bring in whoever for 6 months. We're sitting here talking about what's fucking Poch going to do.
Yeah.
Because I think Ralph Rangnick's looked at him and gone, and you need a proper manager. And I think that's why they've gone with Ten Hag. They had to Google him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if Ten Hag works out, I will give Rangnick credit for that. If Ten Hag's a disaster, then I'll say from Rangnick onwards it's been a disaster. But I think that the thing that I said it at the time, I didn't know a lot about Ralph Rangnick. I know I keep saying this, but you're a proper footballing nerd, and you were like telling me all about him. What excited me was the fact he was stayed on as consultant, and we were going to have a football person involved in footballing decisions, not just in the dugout.
Wild, that, innit?
Because apparently this is a new thing in football. You let football people make footballing decisions. Manchester United have never done that since Sir Alex Ferguson left, but apparently we're doing it now.